Okay, picture this. You're standing in one of the most modern cities around Toronto. Bustling, right? Concrete, steel. But then imagine something hidden deep beneath all that. Something alive. We're talking about, well, a secret time capsule of life just waiting for 130
Yeah,
years.
it's an incredible story, and that discovery is what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
We've looked at sources covering this huge multi-billion-dollar project in Toronto, the revitalization of the Don River and the Portland. It was mostly about fixing serious flooding problem.
Right, a modern engineering problem.
Exactly. But they accidentally unearthed this astonishing pocket of natural resilience. It's like history just popped right back up.
So our mission today is really to track how this happened, from accident to major finding.
Pretty much. How it unfolded, what this old life tells us about the environment before the city really sprawled out, and crucially, what it means for ecological restoration everywhere.
Because this isn't just Toronto's story.
Not at all. It's a lesson, really, a global one about, reconnecting with the past, biologically speaking.
And the start of it all, the initial scene, it sounds almost sci-fi. You've got this desolate industrial area, heavy diggers everywhere.
Right. And the site manager, Melanie Sifton, she described it perfectly. She said it was like being on the moon, just barren,
Utterly leaseless.
until it wasn't. They were digging, moving tons of dirt and debris, and then a bulldozer just stops.
And the operator spots something.
Yeah, these really thick green shoots, sedges, cattails, but they looked different, older somehow, tougher than the usual weeds you'd see there.
So those seeds, buried for maybe a century, they just needed a little light, a bit of air.
That's exactly it. The moment they were exposed, bam, they woke up.
Sifton's reaction must have been something, finding life where there was absolutely nothing.
Oh, pure joy, according to the accounts. She called it like finding buried treasure.
I can imagine. Buried treasure is right.
And that surprise, that feeling, it basically kickstarted the whole scientific look into it. It wasn't just some weed, it was a message.
Okay, let's get into the science then, the lab work, because that's where it gets, well, really wild. Sifton's team, they took these soil samples.
Yeah, about 50 of them. Described as kind of pancake-shaped, they carefully dug them out and got them over to the University of Toronto.
To Shelby Riskin, the ecosystem ecologist.
Right. Now, usually in paleoecology, studying old environments, you're kind of hoping for tiny clues, fossil pollen, maybe bits of roots.
Just traces.
Exactly. The expectation was pretty modest. Maybe find evidence of, water lilies or irises that used to be in the original wetland. Just confirm what was there.
More like an archaeological dig, confirming history.
But what they found wasn't just confirmation. It was life. A full-on performance.
A live show, you said.
It really was. They added water to these samples over a century old, looked under the microscope, and it wasn't just mud. It was a whole ecosystem kicking back into gear. Dormant, but ready.
What was that key moment? The real jaw-dropper.
Well, under the scope, they see this little brown sort of worm-like creature, and the source described it as greedily munching through green clumps of algae.
Just doing its thing. Like the last 130 years hadn't happened.
Completely oblivious. Like it woke up from the longest nap ever and just got back to business.
Incredible. But it wasn't just the worm.
Oh no, that was just the headliner. Around it, there was this whole cast of tiny life. Water fleas, different kinds of worms, larvae, zooplankton.
Zooplankton, the tiny animals that form the base of the food web in water.
Exactly. All these microscopic critters were, the description was dancing and spinning around it. They literally resurrected life from before the city took over that area.
And it wasn't just one or two things. It was the whole package. The instructions for a wetland.
That's the key. The mud held everything. The microbes, the food, the consumers, the whole biological setup, just waiting for the right conditions to, switch back on.
Riskin called it a novel time capsule.
Yeah, an astonishing one, because it gives scientists a direct window into the Don River wetlands before all the heavy engineering started in the late 1800s.
Which is hugely important, and this is feeding into actual scientific papers now.
It is. Riskin and another paleoecologist, Sarah Finkelstein, are working on peer-reviewed studies based on all this. Carbon dating, pollen analysis, germination results.
Yeah.
It's all coming.
Okay, so to really get why this is so amazing, we need to understand why this life was buried so deep in the first place. How did this wetland get entombed?
Right. We need to step back over a century. Back then, these peat bogs, these wetlands, they weren't valued. They were seen as messy, inconvenient.
Obstacles to progress.
Pretty much. So they were deliberately buried, covered with almost 25 feet of dirt and gravel brought in from elsewhere. The historical records actually say it was to pacify the remaining scraps of wild.
Pacify the wild.
Oh.
Wow, they wanted flat, predictable land for building, for industry.
They entombed it, and then in the 1920s, they went even further.
Doubled down, you mentioned earlier.
They did. That's when the Don River got what they called its straitjacket. Massive concrete canal, totally rigid, straight line.
Taking all the natural curves and flexibility out of it.
Forcing it into submission, essentially, to make the Portlands district more efficient for industry and shipping.
Control. Predictable flow.
But
There had to be consequences, right? Nature doesn't usually like straitjackets.
oh, the consequences were severe. By taking away the river's natural bends and its floodplain, its ability to spread out during heavy rain, they created a flooding nightmare.
So when big storms hit.
Disaster. Frequent, very expensive floods in Lower Toronto. The engineered solution basically caused the problem it was meant to prevent, in a way.
The original natural design was the flood control they destroyed.
Precisely. And that cycle of flooding is why this whole massive restoration project had to happen in the first place. They finally realized, they had to undo the damage, let the river be a river again.
Which brings us back beautifully to that time capsule they found. It wasn't just the worms and fleas, they found even more, right? Painting a fuller picture.
Oh, much more. The findings went way deeper, historically speaking.
Like the American chestnut pollen.
Exactly. Which is huge, because that tree is basically gone from this region now because of blight decades ago. Finding its pollen helps reconstruct the original forest.
It's called the pollen assemblage.
That's the term. It's like a botanical fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
By looking at the mix of pollens and dating them, they can figure out what the forest and even the climate were like centuries ago.
It gives them the recipe for what should be growing there.
It helps, yeah. Provides a baseline. And then there was the carbon dating.
The really old seed.
Mind-boggling stuff. Among everything they pulled out, they found one single seed, carbon dated to the 1500s.
The 1500s, Renaissance-era life, waiting under an industrial port.
It seems so. Just sitting there, dormant, under all that fill. It speaks volumes about, nature's resilience.
Nature's bank vault, you called it.
And it wasn't trivial. The project actually managed to save remnants of one of the biggest, most important peat bogs in the whole area. It was basically a whole library buried down there.
Which validates what Sifton said, that the potential for life went much deeper than they first thought.
Far deeper. And all this knowledge, it's now challenging how we think about environmental restoration or mitigation.
Right. This is a big theme. Shelby Riskin had some strong words about that.
She did. Very direct. She said basically, humans have generally been very bad at recreating wetlands.
Even though we try, we build new ones when we destroy old ones.
We do. It's often required. But she points out that these relocated or constructed wetlands very rarely function in the way that we hope they will. They often fail ecologically.
Why is that? Is it just putting plants in the wrong place?
It's deeper than that. It's biological, chemical. When you just dig a hole, add water, add some plants, you're missing, the invisible foundation.
The complex stuff.
The microbes, the fungi, the bacteria, all the tiny things that process nutrients, clean the water, create the right chemistry. These feedback loops are incredibly complex.
So we can build the structure, but we can't easily build the soil's operating system, its immune system.
That's a great way to put it. But this discovery in Toronto hinted at the answer. It showed the incredible power of using the original native soils in restoration.
Because it already has that operating system.
Exactly. Riskin said the soil they found wasn't just inert dirt. It was packed with the original microbes, nutrients, those seeds. It was, in her words, biologically ready to turn on.
So respect the soil, respect the biology already there.
It shifts the focus, doesn't it?
Yeah.
From pure engineering to biological partnership.
And that idea of respecting the inherent wisdom in the land, that connects directly to the indigenous perspective, which was also key here.
Absolutely central. Shelley Charles, who is an Anishinaabe elder, was involved. She helped name the new island created by the project Ukumen
Which means?
Place of the black cherry trees. And her perspective was that traditional indigenous knowledge passed down for generations was really validated by these scientific discoveries.
She felt it confirmed what they already knew, in a way.
Yes. She said it connects them to the past. And when those first plants came back to life, it was like we knew instinctively that seeds were there. Maybe not the 1500 seeds specifically, but the potential for life.
That must have been a powerful feeling. Validation.
Hugely powerful. The sense that this traditional knowledge wasn't just a token gesture, but a real necessary part of understanding and healing the place. It really brought everyone together.
And speaking of the human side, you mentioned the machine operators earlier. There's a specific story there from Shelley Charles.
Yeah, it's quite moving, actually. She mentioned she cried when she heard how the discovery was handled on the ground.
Why? What was different?
Because, as she pointed out, on almost any other big construction site, if crews find something unexpected like old plants or weird soil, it just gets scraped away. Keep the project on schedule, you know?
Just bulldoze through it.
Right. But here, the operator stopped. They saw those odd shoots, they took notice, they alerted people, they were careful with the
She
samples.
showed care.
Yeah.
Respect.
That moment of care, that pause by people whose job is usually demolition, that's what allowed this whole amazing discovery to even happen. It wasn't just the scientists, it started right there.
That's a fantastic detail, and now the results are visible. The area isn't like the moon anymore.
Not at all. It's transformed. That barren, maybe even toxic industrial zone is now this thriving green watershed. Sources say kids are playing in new parks there. People are paddling kayaks on the new naturalized river path.
So life has genuinely returned.
It really has. And the proof is in what Shelley Charles calls the natural engineers coming back. Beavers, muskrats, they're building homes again. Fish, turtles are there. Even top predators like snowy owls and eagles have been seen.
And those animals don't return unless the ecosystem is actually working, right?
Right.
They won't hang out in a concrete ditch.
Exactly. They need a functioning wetland, a full food chain. Their return is the ultimate sign of success.
So this huge project started basically to fix a flooding problem caused by old engineering. It's become this incredible story of resurrection, a celebration of nature's sheer power to wait and return.
It really underscores that latent power hidden right under our feet, even in disturbed landscapes. Life was just waiting.
And that resilience combined with the care shown by those operators, it's remarkable.
It really is. And it points to something fundamental, something maybe we still don't fully grasp. Which leads to a question for you, listening.
Go ahead.
If all this complex life, microbes, nutrients, seeds, centuries old, can just lie dormant, ready to turn on, what does that tell us about soil? What power are we missing?
If the dirt itself holds the blueprint, the memory, the entire starter kit for an ecosystem, how should that change how we approach every environmental revitalization project from now on?
Maybe the dirt. Maybe that's where the real magic is.
A truly powerful thought to end on. Thanks for this deep dive into Toronto's living history.